So we are now at the final Sevens Series event, and there are still a couple Olympic qualification spots that are up for grabs. Samoa, they find themselves sitting about 7th at the moment. They need to get into that top 5. They want to automatically qualify, but they will need a much better performance than they did have last week. They finished 11th in the overall standings for Toulouse, and that is after finishing 4th the league prior. So there's certainly improvement needed, and we will have to wait and see whether or not they will have it this week. But throughout this preview, we will be looking at the squad that the Samoans have gone with, also their upcoming fixtures, and then a prediction of how well we think they will go. But first of all, in the London Sevens, they are going to be a part of Pool C alongside France, Australia and Spain. Their first game will be up against the French. It is at 9:01 PM New Zealand time on the Saturday night, and that will be a very tough game to start them off. Fun fact though, that is the only team of their group stage that they didn't play last week. They have already had a game up against the Aussies and the Spanish, both of which not quite going the way that they would have liked. Looking through next game, it will actually be about 2.5 hours after that first match, and it will be up against the Australians. That is at 11:47 PM New Zealand time. The last time that those two sides played though, the Australians able to win it 26 points to 7. So a pretty one-sided affair against the Samoans, which they won't want 2 weeks in a row. And then their next game, the final game of the pool stage, will be up against Spain, 3:08 AM New Zealand time. That is on the Sunday morning. Last time they played Spain, 28 points to 5. So also not the kind of result they'll be looking for in London. And the big thing is, this is once again a tough group. Every point matters. In the last week's competition in Toulouse, they threw away a win up against the Irish. They cannot afford to do that this week, or else one of these other 3 sides will leapfrog them, make their way through to the quarterfinals. But looking through at the squad that the Samoans have gone with, a pretty similar one to what they had last week, although a couple extra inclusions compared to Toulouse. Looking through, they have this week got their 3 co-captains. That will be Va'a Apilo Maliko, Vauwasa Afasua, and the return of Malani Mataval. Now, we did see him only recently return after a long stint away with injury. He then had a couple weeks off again in the 7th circuit, but now he's back rearing to go for the final leg of the year. Then Taunuu Naulivaya, Paul Eti Slater, Motu Opitai, Niueli Letufia, always a very quick player to watch. Then next it is Fuli Fa'afawina. He is going to be there, and one of the newer players in that Samoan side, so not too sure how much game time he will get, but hopefully it's a few minutes. See exactly how well he can go. Then also Malu Latiro, still in the Samoan side. Malakisi Masifau. Now we saw him last week, and it was actually his debut, and he did pretty well for a debutant. So I have to say he's got a bright future here for Samoa. If he can get it right, could certainly be one of the leading try scorers in this week of the Sevens for the Samoans. Then also Elijah Nico, and then last but not least, Pisi Lailua, the last man in the Samoan Sevens squad. But now we are up to that stage of a prediction. Now last week, I believe I said that Samoa would get in the top 4. They finished 11th. So I think if that proves anything, not only are Sevens unpredictable, but I'm terrible at predictions. So I think no matter where I say today, the Samoans are not going to finish there, which is okay. I have accepted that at this stage. But I think Samoa, personally, last week, if they take away those couple of errors, I think they could have gone a lot further in the competition. And the Samoans, they just never quite fired in last week's contest. The only real games that they played well in were up against Japan, and even then they were struggling a little bit, and then also their game up against Kenya. But the problem with that game was they were 10-0 down, coming back to win it 17-10. I think I've been a bit too optimistic, but I want to see Samoa do well in this London Sevens. I'm going to say that they finish 9th, which seems very harsh, but I just see with France, who played extremely well last week, they were unlucky that they came up against New Zealand in that semi-final, because I think if they came up against either of the other teams on that other side of the draw, they would have had a really good chance. And the way that that game ended with that last-minute try to the Kiwis, I think the French are going to be more fired up than ever. Even though last week was in Toulouse, London not too far away, they'll be very keen to get through to another final. The Aussies always seem to be a little bit of a bogey team for the Samoans, and then Spain, after last week's win, 28 points to 5, they'll be feeling pretty confident So it's going to be tough for Samoa, but I do hope they can get through it. I think if they were to win 2 out of the 3 games, would be up against Australia and Spain. I just see France as just a little bit too strong at this current time. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Do let me know where you feel Samoa will be finishing in the sevens. Hopefully you go higher than me, and hopefully you are correct, because at the end of the day, to get that automatic Olympic qualification, Samoans almost have to go on and they almost have to win the whole thing in London. So we'll have to wait to see if that is possible. But thank you all very much for tuning in. We will be doing the live commentary for their matches on the channel. So if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all for the next one.